Hello, everyone. My name is Mark from the Misplay Podcast, and you're listening to Eternal Journey, everyone's favorite Eternal podcast.
Welcome to Eternal Journey, the podcast.
Greetings, all my knights and Puntawans. You are listening to Eternal Journey, the podcast that talks about all things eternal with a focus on limited play. I'm your host, Jedi, and this week is episode 121 of the podcast, where we are going to be giving you our hot takes and thoughts and on the Cold Hunt update. That's right, it finally came a little late. Not too late, but a little. It was like just enough for me to be like, hey, wait a minute, isn't there supposed to be an update with the campaign? And then wham, bam, there's an update. So there you have it. But first things first, I want to say hello to my good two friends that are joining me on the podcast week after week. First up, we have Alex, the underscore himself. What is up, buddy? How are you doing this week?
Doing well. How's it going?
Going swell, man. Thanks for taking the time to be here with us. I appreciate you and your knowledge of the limited format. Sitting across from him on the internet is the infamous John Holio. How you doing, Holmes?
Pretty good. Yeah, enjoying the updated format, kicking some butt.
Yeah, both you guys are freaking killing it, aren't you? You both made masters like what, the first week of the update, something like that?
Yep. Yeah, I've been staying up in top 10 as much as possible as well. Just
what?
Being a sweaty nerd this month.
What the heck? Where's John and what have you done with him?
I've been having fun, whatever.
Not only are you drafting a lot on your account, but you're also top 10? Dude, what the... You should be the host of this podcast.
Nah, you're better.
Yeah, you just don't want to do the behind the scenes work. That's all it is.
Hey, you're a great host. I'll answer some questions or whatever. That's it.
Alex is up there too, man. Alex, so you're sitting on like what, top 30?
Something like that. I don't know. It's like, I think people that are up there have good records because I'll have, 5 wins, 6 or 7 wins, and then like basically just like stay in the same spot. And yeah, people are playing drafts, so that's cool.
Well, I also think that you draft a lot. So I think just by a sheer number ratio, it's a little bit like your wins by default don't count as much just because you have so many games played. I could be wrong though, but I feel like I always see you in a limited game whenever I'm on the Eternal. So
yeah, it's what I enjoy for sure. So
yeah, no, I'm definitely not knocking you, man. Not knocking you. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to Chastity Weaver. Thank you so much for the ongoing support of the show, my friend. I appreciate you. And the Overmaster himself, as well as Colosso MA, keeping the lights on here. Really do appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for being awesome. You rock, my friends. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and dive on into it. We're going to do something a little different for the Pack 1 Pick 1 this time because last time I drafted on stream, I had some very interesting picks as people were trying to get a hold of the format. So I figured why not find out, have you guys tell me how wrong my picks were. So we're going to go ahead and break this down. This is going to be pick 16, or essentially pick 3 of pack 2. So pack 2, pick 3. We are in a Xenon deck. Straight Xenon right now with the Xenon banner, Triumphant Return, Plague, Predator's Instinct, Power Breach, Sentinel, Towering Terrazon, Silverblade Reaper, Trailmaker, Corendon Stewart, and 2 Zito Cabal House Cats. That's right. I find my lane and I hit it hard. Okay, so once again, this is... Oops, shoot, sorry about that. One of my alarms went off. Hopefully I caught it quick enough. Anywho, this is pack 2, pick 3. Cards in contention here. We have an Eavesdrop, which is the Foreshadow Inscribe card, and enemy player discards 2 cards of their choice from their hand. Then you steal their entire void. We have Scalehide, which is the 3 blue... I don't even know why I was looking at that. I'm so sorry. My bad. I apologize. We have Carnosaur Beta, the 5/5 Inscribe Revenge Dinosaur for 7 at a time. Forestall, the old Pachi special, which is 3 time for fast spell, prevent all damage, and an enemy of your choice would deal this turn, draw a card. And then finally Toxic Wisp, which is the 1/2 Wisp for 1 in a shadow, Contract 2, give a unit +1/+1 and deadly. All right, John, let's start off with you, man. So we're in heavy Xenon. What are you looking at here in this pack? Because you see what I'm saying? Like, all these cards are really good.
Yeah, and like it looks like you've got a very good Xenon deck going, right? So, and you know, you're the only fixing you have right now is a Xenon banner. Well, you have a Trailmaker, but like so, and I think just as a general thing with this updated format, it's a little harder to get into like the 4 faction Windvoke deck. It's still possible, but there's definitely less fixing in packs 1 and 4, just overall. So, like there's a Frostburn here, but honestly, I'm not even looking at it, especially with these good Xenon cards in this pack. I'm definitely looking at every Xenon card except for what is that in Burden? Like,
yeah, that's why I didn't even bother mentioning it.
yeah, it's definitely Eavesdrop, Forestall, Beta, and Wisp all on the menu. So with the deck you've got going, like Wisp would be great. It goes so good with revenge units, and you've got 2 Zetos already. So I think that's pretty high on my radar right now. And then like obviously love Inscribe, but between the 2 Inscribes, so here's like a rule I have in my head with when I'm playing Zetos, especially with 2 of them, I start prioritizing Eavesdrop because nothing can wreck an opponent's like entire plan, like an early Zeto into an Eavesdrop. Like that just hurts them so much. So I think right now it's between Eavesdrop and Wisp for me. And because they've added, you've got one in your pool, a Karen Steward, and there's not other than getting kind of a double trade potential with the Wisp plus the Zeto. Like I don't know, like I don't prioritize it that highly. I think I would pick the Eavesdrop.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Plus, I didn't
Great.
mention it, but you also do have a Triumphant Return in your pool. So, like, stealing opponents' good units with the Eavesdrop and then getting them back with that is like a nice thing to do as well. So it's just like, they're both kind of synergistic with what you have. And I just like really like Zeto into Eavesdrop a lot.
Okay. Fair enough. Alex, where are you at on it?
It's between those same 2 cards, like out of the most these Xenon cards, which all these Xenon cards tells me that you're in a pretty good lane, and you would probably be able to pick up another Eavesdrop easier than you would this Wisp. So I think I would take the Wisp, just slightly over the Eavesdrop, but John makes a really good argument for the Eavesdrop. But yeah, I think my gut on this one would be the Wisp, and then just the Inscribe isn't as valuable. I mean, it still is very valuable, but we're not playing crazy decks like John said, where you're inscribing all kinds of other color cards that'll be fixed. So I think staying on Xenon like is good in this pack that you have, and I think I would go Wisp.
Yeah, and man, it's definitely something. The format has changed. If Alex says you can't do 5 color good stuff, then man, holy cow! But
you can, but it has to. You have to get a little lucky with how the
it
pack
has to like kind of fall into place more.
We'll talk about it once we get to kind of our broad strokes. But yeah, ultimately, I think you guys did a great job breaking it down. Ultimately, I ended up taking the Toxic Wisp here because I just like the idea of double Zeto with Deadly.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong there.
Yeah, and then, potentially Triumphant Return the Zeto to get another card, draw a card as well, etc., blah-de-da-de. So I ended up taking the Wisp here, and of course, uncommon versus common. All right. Moving on to later in the pack, or later in the draft with the same pack, or correction, later in the draft with the same deck. Go into pack 3, pick 1.
Oh my gosh.
We are firmly in Xenon. Like, I mean, took a Condosaur beta. We have Power Breach Sentinel, Midnight Hunter, Terry T, Tinsky Saboteur, Volunteer Corpse, Urzuri Rider, let's see. And screenshot doesn't show anything else, but yeah, we were firmly in. So pack 3, pick 1. Cards in contention pretty much is just the top row, which is super sweet. We have Kickflip Monk, which is the 2/2 Mystic for 2 time. Inscribe, +2 health and flying on the enemy turn, and cards can't leave voids. Third Zito Cabal House Cat. And then the rare is Kuno Chronomancer, which is the 4/4 mage for 5 double time. Ambush, contract 3, put a card from your void on top of your deck. All right, Alex, we'll start off with you in this one. I mean, is this a windmill slam Kuno, or are you looking at the other cards here?
I mean, 3 cats would be very nice, but you don't need it. I mean, it'd be nice to like have one in your opening hand every time, but I think the rare would trump it in this case. And the kick flip monk, when you're like trying to get stuff back out of your void, it like hoses that. So I don't know. Like it's a good card, but it kind of hoses what you're trying to do with these colors a lot. So I would lean towards Kuno or however you say that.
Okay, John, what about you?
Yeah, I'm with Alex on this one. I like 3 Zetos is a little overkill, honestly. They lose their value like just drawing a fresh one like later in the game. Like 2 is a great number. Like I mean, I would play 3, especially with additional synergies, but I think Monk and Kuno are like kind of better cards overall. Monk is really good, but yeah, like Alex said, this deck it's kind of a non-bow, so I'd go with Kuno.
Okay, and then just to for the sake of being thorough, sending it back to you, Alex. I have a volunteer corpse, a trailmaker, and then we have the Xenon banner. Are you considering any of these splash cards like Stonebreaker Bow or Clork Mix?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a powerful enough card in the colors that you're already in with the rare here.
Okay, yep, John.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep,
those
fair
those
enough.
cards, like like bows are nice to splash sometimes, but like you don't have the fixing to get a free, to just play it for free right now. You'd have to prioritize additional fixing along the way, and it's just a bow. Like it looks like you are a little light on interaction, but in these colors, you should pick up some.
All right, fair enough. Okay, going on to our third and final pick.
Well, what did
This
you
is
pick there?
Kuno. Yeah, I
Okay.
took the Kuno. Uh,
Nice.
it's really easy for Kuno to be a 3-for-1, right? He has ambush, so sometimes you could snag a dude, and then you're immediately putting like a removal spell or your rare back on top. So yeah, Kuno is just really solid. All right, final one. We are an ambition deck, mainly Rakano splashing Shadow. This is pack 3, pick 4. I don't really need to go into the deck too much. Like I said, we're pretty much Rakano with a splash of Shadow for Midnight Hunter and Call the Hit at the moment. Of note, though, we only have 1/2 drop, which you'll see why this becomes relevant. Cards in contention in the pack. We have a Tinsky Saboteur, which is the 2/1 rogue that has revenge for 3 shadow, and then whenever Tinsky Saboteur attacks, the enemy player discards the top 2 cards of their deck. There's a Rune Sword, which is the +4/+4 relic weapon for 7 green and inscribe. There's a Calderon Captain, which is a 4/3 gunslinger for 5 red. Revenge, your units have +1 attack. There's a Grenadin Rescue, which is the spell for 2 red. Play 2 1/1 Grenadins and deal 1 damage to the enemy player. There's a Find the Moment, a shiny one no less, which is a fast spell for 2 green. Give a unit +2/+2 this turn. Contract 3. Give the unit an additional +3/+3 this turn. And then finally, in the uncommon slot, there is a Curfew Patrol, which is a 3/3 Paladin for 4 double justice. Aegis. I don't know why I started to say Aegis. Aegis, Lifesteal, Contract 3, Silence an exhausted enemy unit. All right, sending it back over to you, John. What are you looking at in this pack and why?
I think it's between. I mean, yeah, there's some good cards here. Like you said, you're a little low on 2s right now, so Marksman is definitely on the table. But I think the power level of captain and patrol like are a little higher. If you didn't already have these two attachments, the feather and the wings, I think I might lean captain. But because you have those two cards already, I would prioritize the Aegis Lifesteal unit because like cheesing wins with flying Aegis Lifesteal 5-4 or 4-3, whatever this thing ends up being, is like it's an easy way to win games, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, and good point. I actually didn't mention the Unseen Marksman, but that is in the pack as well, which is the 3/3 Unseen for 2 Argent Port. Contract 3, given enemy unit -1 health. Alex, what do you think?
I think this is a very hard pick. Yeah, the flying Aegis Lifesteal guy can really do some work. It's so hard to pass this captain though, because those are just great at all times. They come back. It's like 2 units, kind of. I wouldn't fault you for taking the captain, but yeah, the curfew patrol is probably the correct pick here, and that's a nice shiny find the moment as well.
Yeah, for me, the find a moment, as much as I wanted to take it, I ended up passing on it just because, as you can tell, I have 9 spells. So I had a decent amount of interaction by this point in time. So it was between the Curfew Patrol and the Captain for me. I ultimately ended up taking the Captain. Just because, I mean, I think both wear the weapons, the attachments very well. And much like what you said, Alex, Captain is good on its own. It's good pretty much at any point in the game. So, and me having Jedi luck, knowing that Curfew Captain will probably come down when they had something to block it very easily or could break Aegis, etc., etc. I ended up just taking the Cauldron Captain here is what I went with. But yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. I've lost to Curfew Patrol plenty of times, especially with the attachment. That Aegis just gives you a nice warm and fuzzy when you play it for sure. And then sometimes it is relevant. You get to silence a flyer or something like that when it comes into play as well. But all right, guys, that is going to do it for our Pack 1 Pick 1 iteration this go around. So, long story short, as you guys probably already know, because most of you are playing the format, we did finally get our update. We normally get the flip script when the mini campaign comes out, but for some reason they decided to hold off, I guess, to give some hype to the campaign on its own. And then I think 2 weeks later is when we saw the update to the draft format where they switched it. So now packs 2 and 3 are the Cold Hunt packs. And they adjusted the weight of various cards, adding cards to Expedition and the draft format, etc., etc. So starting off, big stroke. I think it's safe to say that the higher power level is still in packs 2 and 3, correct?
I sure think so.
Yeah, there's really nothing in packs unless you open up a really solid rare. There's really not anything like too much in packs 1 really that are like pulling me to a color. Heretic Cannon's back in the format. I think that card's very strong, but it's a single red and it's a 6-drop, so you could splash that. The Edicts don't really call on to me at all. I will say that I forgot what the cycle is called, but they're 1 color spell, but if you have triple influence of 2 other factions, then they become a creature.
Yeah, the From
Those
cycle, like they
is that
all
what? Yeah,
transmute cards.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The from, yeah, the from cycle, from below, from beyond, etc., etc. I think those cards are worth taking, and if I see them, I take them. But I try very hard not to force it, and if I can play them, great. If I can't, that's fine. And I'm pretty much just trying to play them. I think the green, and then maybe shoot, I don't know which other one is probably good on the front side. I think the green's the only one that's a removal spell. The time one's or the shadow's a discard for 3 or less, which I guess isn't horrible. Time 1 is kill an enemy relic.
I think Bryn is good on the front side, the red one.
Oh yeah, +2. Yeah, +2
It's a nice
+1
combat
charge
trick.
and decay. Yep. Yeah. So they're all. I think they're fine if you could play all 3 sides, but obviously the main part is to get the actual unit out of it because all the units are busted. The found one has definitely won games on its own. But yeah, I mean, really, and but yeah, that's the thing. I think there's really nothing that incentivizes me to go all in unless that's just the open lane, like we saw in that one draft that I showed you, where it was just clear as day that time was open. Then I was like, okay, I'll go in time, and then kind of pick my second color in packs 2 and 3. Is that pretty much what you guys have been doing, or I don't know? Talk to me about your pack 1 now with this update, John.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if my strategy changes too much, other than yeah, like sometimes I feel like forcing a card like From Below because it's just that powerful, and I'll take it and hope that like Feln comes my way or whatever. I'm pretty open to um like they kind of boosted a lot of good time cards that they added, and so like I don't know, I really like um being kind of heavy in time coming out of pack 1, because it's like they added, time is like the fixing color again a little more because they added Trailmaker. Um, right? They added it, or was it already in there? It's just extra boosted now. Where's Trailmaker? Well, maybe it's the same. But like I'm
Trying
seeing
to find
so
it for you.
many Borderlands lookouts. That's a really strong one drop. I'm seeing a lot of Stigma locks. Like those cards are both 12 times boosted. Um, if time's open, you'll get a pillar. Those are still pretty boosted.
Oh, I actually don't see it on the article.
Yeah, I don't see it either. So maybe it's the same. But like a pack one pick one Trailmaker is like a pretty frequent thing for me. Uh, it's like nothing else. These packs have so many cards in them now that a lot of times there's like just no good cards in the pack.
Yeah, yeah, you just can't rely on seeing this card or that card because you're in a faction for sure.
Yeah, I am like these cards that say 12x though. I'm definitely noticing like I'm seeing them pretty often during my drafts, and a lot of them aren't that great. So like that's one of the reasons that you're seeing them like past you. But some of these are pretty good, and I'm seeing like a good amount of them pass my way. I mean, there's some cards like in every color like this. Um, I've been seeing Shugo Hooksword. That was one that was added a decent amount. Um, and like
I haven't seen it yet. Thank God. That's so bad when your opponent plays it. It's like,
yeah, I kind of like I think the first draft of the format I did, I pack one picked one of those, and I kind of forced like some spell damage. Like I was just picking like like more spell damage cards just because of that card. It ended up being a 7-win deck. As with the little synergy package, it totally worked out so good. And you mentioned Heretics Cannon, like that's just a cheese card. It's like only 1 pip of fire. Like anytime I see one of those, like I'll grab it and try and splash it. If I'm not in fire already. Um, Another kind of card I'm seeing a lot of that's a powerful one is Ceremonial Mask. Like it's just a 4/4 relic weapon, but like it has a nice summon effect. Um,
mm-hmm.
and then I'm like Gilded Glaive is a really strong weapon that's 12 boosted, and Vanquish. These are uncommons, but if green is open, like if you're getting these cards past you, green's probably going to be open in pack 1. What else we got here? Like I don't like there's nothing, the only like blue card they added that's kind of nice, and a lot of drafters are have fond memories of
Wrecking
this
me
one,
with it. Yeah.
is a Adaptive Predator, good old Derpy.
Yep, that card I have lost. That's probably the one card I've lost more games to in this format so far than any other card. Is my opponent's just always dropping that thing on curve.
Yeah, that's a strong strat. It works best in Elysian when you can ramp to it. But and then Jotun Hurler is also another 12x blue card. The rest of these are kind of whatever in Primal.
Yeah.
What else we got here? 12x. Yeah.
Where are you at, Alex? While John's stiffing through the cards, where are you at right now in pack 1?
I'm not getting as good of picks as Trailmakers for sure. I'm like, the first pack for me has just been like the marshy swamps before you get to the good stuff, and just try to pick the best cards. And I try to stay the most open Like, if you could stick with one color, do that. Um, I'll take some early fixing, because it's not pushed and it's really kind of hard to get. And I still like to splash a lot, so I will take early fixing, even if I don't have a card to splash for yet. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah, I
like
think
that. That's a good point. You could definitely pick up some decent fixing like halfway through the pack, for sure. If you're able to kind of distinguish the difference between a filler card, like C's and C minuses over fixing, or the other way around, taking fixing over a filler card. Because I mean, this format feels like you're not gonna run out of playables. I build my deck as I draft, and I still find myself having a couple of cuts. So
I mean, I
So
go through pack one with way less units than before as well, it seems like.
yeah, it's kind of weird because we used to fill out our units a lot in these draft packs before the format change, right? And now it's kind of similar to a few weeks ago. It's like we're coming out of pack one with just a couple of units because it's just a lot of garbage.
It really is.
Yeah,
so there's step one of Jedi taking the wrong route, man. I'm like picking up all my 2 drops in pack one, man. I'm leaving pack one with like 3 or 4 2 drops already because I'm
oh
like, it's like there's some quality 2 drops, right? Some, but there's some that are just filler. But I'm like, well, you need 2 drops anyway, so I'll just grab them. Ankle cutters times 12,
yeah,
Blakekin Apprentice times 12. Let me see, what's the other one? The
I'm
other
not I'm
two,
not
two,
saying
the
don't
exhaust.
take the 2 drops.
no, like if I'm getting past Karen and Stewart, it's like I'm probably grabbing every one of
I
those.
love
Oh
Stewie's for
yes,
sure.
yeah.
Stewie's
Stewie's really
so
hard to
good.
pass up, for sure. Um, but yeah, like I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of exactly what you said, Alex. I'm kind of going the 2 extremes. I'm either completely open and just picking the best card out of the pack until about halfway in the pack, and then really looking at fixing or like rounding out, kind of eating my vegetables, or I am hyper focused. Like, all right, well, they're passing me these, great justice cards late, so I'm just gonna lock in as much justice as I can to hopefully kind of then lock in my second or tertiary color in pack 2 and 3 and get rewarded. Though going back to what John mentioned, though, it is true. Like I've definitely done a couple of drafts where the pack felt really weird. I'm like, I don't know what signals are getting passed to me, but what I've come to realize is I don't think it's so much the fact that people are drafting weird. I think it's just because the card pool is so huge that you're just gonna, kind of get the RNG side of it where you just got whack packs. It's like, okay, time is open in the last 5 picks of the second half of the pack. You don't see any time, or you didn't see any shadow in pack one, and then pack four you get a ton of shadow. You're like, where was this in pack one? So there's definitely some of that going on, but good old reliable, you can still count on consistency in pack 2 and 3. John, anything from finishing going through all the cards?
No, um, like I guess they didn't change the weightings of the fixing, um, other than Bannerman, really. Like the seats were 1x and they're still 1x. The blueprints were 1, they're still 1. Um, I think the banners were a little higher. I'm trying to find a banner here. Guess I'm not in banner colors still. I think my article is like missing some cards. I like toggled everything on. I'm still not seeing everything. But I know Bannermen are only like 1x now. Um,
It
which
might it might literally be like what you said, where they're only showing the updated cards, the difference, and anything that
well,
stayed the same,
I
they
toggled
let.
that button and I'm still not seeing the banners.
Okay.
And I didn't see Stewie in the shadow cards either. So like I don't know. I don't. This article may not be perfect. Um, but they did add the Diplo seal, but that's like if that's a little rough if you're you know high influence requirements. It's a I still I'll put it in there if I'm trying to splash, but it's great in your opening hand, but it definitely it's like a bad top deck if you have like multi pip cards in your deck.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think the banners stayed the same, but like the issue really is like everything is diluted by all this garbage that they added. Like these Nightfall cards, I think are, even though they buffed a lot when they did this, I think a lot of them are still quite bad.
So you kind of gave me a segue to two things, so I'll pick the first one.
Sure.
You did mention multiple pips. So Alex, are you making any kind of concessions for cards in packs 1 and 4 that have, or even throughout the entire draft that have 2 pips versus the usual 1, or even some of the cards that like Pillar that have 3 pips? Because I personally try to avoid 2 pips as much as I can, unless we're in pack 2 or 3 and the card is pretty busted, because I just want to keep myself as flexible and open as possible and really have my inscribe fixing pay off. What do you do, Alex?
Yeah, avoid as much double pip cards unless it's in like my main color, unless I don't have a main color. But usually, hopefully, you do have a main color, and that's the double pip cards. If it's like a double pip card, but it like helps you play the color, like the Eagles are like a double pip card, I'm okay on playing, even if I'm like kind of low in that color, because it'll still give you that color. But definitely, especially on the lesser colors or your splash, I try to avoid double pips, and 3 pips definitely on your main color, because that's still hard to do even if you have 10 or 11 sources, potentially.
Yeah. John, what about you?
It just all depends, right? Like if it's a very powerful card, yeah, I'll pick one up, and if those colors are open, like great, I'll play it. But I'm definitely ending up in like the 4 faction decks a lot less right now, sadly, because I did really enjoy playing those. But like, yeah, in any deck, like it can get a little rough playing 2 or more pips. So I prefer it when they're like 5 drops or higher, I guess, too.
Mm.
Um,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, go for it.
I've been finding myself passing on Overthrow, and you know how much I like that card, and I've just been like, nope, can't take it. So,
Yeah,
but
I could see that.
it just, yeah, I just want consistency, and it's a little too easy, especially when you do find yourself going 3 colors. Unless it's removal or something you want to play late, it's really tough to try to hit those. But with that, let's head to your other segue, which is the inclusion of Nightfall, right? That is kind of the big selling point of this update, that Nightfall's back. Woohoo! And I'll be honest with you, I'll just come out the gates and say I'm off of it, man. I don't know. I know it's kind of card parody most of the time, but it always feels like I'm just giving my opponent a free card, and I just don't like it, man. I'm kind of off of it. I was trying it out. I was playing it, and it was somewhat okay, but it just, too often than not, it literally, to me, just felt like I was giving my opponent a free card. So I'm kind of off of it. I'm avoiding. I'll let my opponent play the Nightfall for me, right? The trick to it is obviously to play your Nightfall spells after your opponent's already triggered it, so they don't get the extra card, quote unquote. But whatever. I just, at this point, it's got to be a really good Nightfall card for me to play it.
I think there's some exceptions, but I mostly agree with you. Like 2 of the cards they buffed are like 2 Nightfall cards that I will play. Like Extinguish is like a reasonable removal spell now. But it's like kind of begrudgingly playable for me. Like I'd rather have almost any other removal still, but occasionally I'll like have one in my deck.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I think is good is Sarasaur, right? Like that's like a pretty strong card now. It's a time common. It's a 3/3 for 3 that, like, the turn after you play it, it attacks as a 5/5.
Don't get me wrong. I understand the whole theory, right? Going to Extinguish, you're killing a creature that is relevant, and it's always going to be better than a random card off the top of the deck. I get it. I understand the theory behind it and why it should be perfectly fine, but it just still feels like you're giving them a card after you burned a card. And so, yeah, You're correct. Those are probably the top two front runners as far as Nightfall cards go. One's removal, one's a very aggressively statted creature. Right, you're paying three power for a 5/5 essentially, and then it ends up being a 4/4 for the rest. Not the rest of the game, but at least on attacks.
Yeah.
But I just yeah, you're still just giving them a card to either replace the one that you got from them or for them to find an answer. So, what
So
about you, Alex? Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
yeah,
John.
I'll just add one more thing that I've noticed how it affects the gameplay. Like opponents can kind of ruin themselves if in a racing situation. Like if you're playing an aggressive deck and they're nightfalling, it's like so good for you. That's like the
Mm-hmm.
other side
Mm-hmm.
of it. And then like, a card that we really liked previously, which was Stonebreaker Bow, just gets destroyed by playing anyone playing a nightfall card now, right? So I don't think I think that's kind of like a little bit of fallout from adding it to the format is like Bow is a little worse. And if you're like a Combre deck that just happens to play a few Nightfall cards like the one I just mentioned, you know, your Stone Scar matchup got shored up a little bit. And in fact, we make jokes about playing like I've definitely seen this and done it myself where you're playing like Combre Burn like because you like have like a bunch of random Nightfall cards in your deck. It's just kind of funny. Like if you're playing aggressive Combre, those little points do add up, and it can be fine. But yeah, like doing that whole tempo bow thing early, I think is a little more dangerous than it was as of just a general play. Like that nightfall damage hits it at the start of your turn, right? So just wanted to mention that.
Alex, where are you at on Nightfall?
Yeah, I try to. John stole my bow comment I was going to make because that's definitely gone down. But I try to actively not draft nightfall cards, pretty much like you said. Um, I'll draft the basically what is it, the 3/3 that always attacks as a 4/4. That's pretty good, giving them one tempo play because it's giving you a solid unit pretty much every turn after that. But yeah, actively, if it says nightfall, I'm like, I'll let my opponents play those and draw the cards.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take.
Yeah. Switching back over to broad strokes, I do want to say that I feel like the format is still very aggressive. You definitely can't just kind of dirtle around for the first couple of turns because you will get wrecked. Shadow Blue's stronger, so they picked up some more flyers. Shadow picked up the Minotaur Lighthoof that is a 4/4/4. It's already solid, but another way to make your units evasive for a turn. So that comboed with Embezzler makes a lot of damage coming through that's unblockable. There's more burn and fire, so there's a lot going on. And then plus, much like touching on what you said, John, as far as Nightfall kind of being incidental burn as well. It's a really aggressive format. I don't think you have the ability to just kind of dirtle around and not do anything. You have to be very proactive. At least getting on the board to make sure you don't get ran over, right? And we were already having issues with Leatherhide on 3. They brought back Lurking Brute on 2, so that plus Ranger means that the Shadow has another way of just kind of running away with the game. So I do think that it's a very aggressive format. Is that what you guys are seeing?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you can get run over. I guess I would agree with that. You have
John,
to.
I think you're muted, John.
Oh, sorry, Alex was still
Oh,
talking.
my bad. Go ahead. Go ahead, Alex.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that is the one deck I can kind of fall into is if there's a lot of early Rangers, because I think it's boosted and you can go out of pack one with like two of them potentially or three even, and like if you get a lot of those early, those can definitely run away with the game, and that's like the aggro deck that I'm coming across a lot. It definitely has Shadow in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rangers must be like super boosted right now. I'm playing and seeing a ton of those. I think I figured out what the issue is with my article. Like it's not showing the highest boosted cards. So I'm on the Direwolf website now, and like sure enough, Trailmaker, um, and that Bang Sarasaur are both like 18 times boosted, which is
Oh, okay. I got you.
right. Is your article not showing 18 times? Because mine stops at like the
Yes.
12x, right?
Yep. It goes 1, 6, and 12.
Yeah,
Yes,
so it's like
correct.
missing like a whole category of cards. Like all the Nightfall cards pretty much are 18 times boosted, like all these commons that we're mentioning. Um and then another one that we didn't mention, like a fan favorite, is Beach Boy. Uh it's like a time common. What's
Yeah,
the actual
the
name of that card?
Power Breach Sentinel, the
Power
5/6 Sentinel for
Yes.
6 time. Yeah, very
Yes.
strong card for sure, and just further facilitates the time play.
Yeah.
The so there was something else I wanted to tack on. I'm drawing a blank now, but anywho, regardless, where are you guys at on removal in this format? Do you want to have? Do you think you need more or less? Well, talk to me about that. Where are you guys at on removal? Alex, you can take point on this one.
There's kind of a lot of removal going around. So I think you could definitely get some. You don't have to prioritize it. Maybe you can get a lot of like removal in your units too, like with a lot of interaction with enter the battlefield effect. So like there's a lot and the different types of removal. So you can kind of play around and make creative decks. I like it.
John?
It doesn't feel like different as far as like the amount of removal like I players see as it did before they added these cards. Like they definitely like Alex just mentioned, like two examples that they added that are quite boosted are like the tornado, and then the Vorlunk as well, the killer Vorlunk, like the time torch unit. Like so like I guess there's more cards that you could consider, you know, when playing your games and whatever, and drafting. But I think people in general are playing like about the same amount.
Okay. The I don't know what the edicts, right? The ones that give you an effect that's kind of medium, and then they're really good against the enemy factions. Those are just traps, right? You really shouldn't be running any of them in your deck. At least that's the way I feel about it. Even the quote unquote better ones, I think still just the fact that they end up being borderline dead cards. I think there's better ways to do it. You could probably get better effects from your inscribed cards. So, John, what do you think of the edicts?
Yeah, like one or two of them are like kind of begrudgingly playable, I guess, for me. Like the
Like
green
silence
one,
and bounce?
yeah, like the green one just silences, right? I think the bounce one would be, except like there's the lost in thought and teleport, which like if I'm in time, I'm always cutting at least one copy of one of those cards, and they're just cheaper. Um, so I don't think it's worth potentially hosing like a blue or black card. Just it's harder to hold up 3 mana, right? So um, now I know like I've had to play the green one at least once. I can't even remember. Like I don't think I've played any of the other ones, but it's like literally just if I didn't get there on my interaction, like maybe I'll play one of them. But and like the black one is another one, I guess, that could be playable occasionally. If you're playing like an aggressive deck, it just removes a blocker, like at the worst case, which sometimes that's good enough. Um, but again, it's like there's cards that do similar things that should be in your deck over that
Mm-hmm.
usually.
What about you, Alex?
Yeah, they're like if I'm really desperate for a playable, they potentially can make the deck, but I tried a couple of times and I thought everyone's playing Huru. I'm gonna play the Huru hoser, and then no one had a Huru card for me. So yeah, I like actively try to not play those as well and just have to be desperate.
All right. Unless you guys got any more broad strokes that you want to say about the format, I think we could probably highlight a couple of key cards you want to be looking out for, or you want to play in your deck. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we move on?
I guess because of the huge increase in dilution, right? Like they just added a ton of cards to these draft packs. Like I think trying to do like a Stealth Matters deck, which was possible before, I think is like a fool's errand now.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. I like that.
Just
Good
another
take.
kind of side thing. But I did think they added enough. They did add some support for a spell damage deck. Like they gave and take for sure. Like with the boosting and the cards added, right? But like it's just harder to get 6+ stealth cards for your deck now in your colors, like just because of the way the draft packs are.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't, you know me, I'm a boring drafter. I don't really try to go for the spicy stuff. I do it when I'm streaming, like, all right, let's try to do this for entertainment purposes. But when it's me, let me just get my curve with my pump spells and my removal, and we'll see if we go to the distance or whatnot. I've definitely kind of eased into something like Combray or Rakano if it's open. I'm like, all right, well, I'm seeing the cards, and this kind of sets me up for success with Captain and breach the defenses and find a moment. It's funny, Alex, that you say a lot of people are on Huru, because I haven't found myself in Huru in a hot minute. There was one day where I was disappointed in myself. I think I was supposed to be Feln, and I ended up going Xenon and passed like 2 shamans. I was like, no. I mean, they were in pack 3, but still, it's just.
Yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say one more thing I've noticed as far as a broad stroke. Like they've also definitely added support for like weapons and weapon matters type things.
Yes.
So like, if you were prioritizing Aegis units before, like those are even better now. Flyers, wear weapons well. Like they just added some really strong weapons, and most of them are very boosted. So you'll see a lot of them. Like Morningstar is one I see a lot coming around. It's like super boosted. What else?
The 2/2 Oni maker is everywhere.
Warhorn is like like so. If you happen to get one of those play weapon draw card guys, I think that's even like
Quartermaster.
Yeah, Quartermaster. I think people were kind of making that work before. I think that's even more of a viable kind of thing now.
Somebody did it against me on stream. They played like 2 Quartermasters. I forgot what weapons they were playing. The 2 power 1/1 draw card.
Yeah.
They played like 3 of those. They were totally going off. I was like, holy cow. So there's definitely some fun things to be had. That also means that what is it? Oni Blacksmith? Is that the 6/4?
Yeah, that was when
contract?
they added. Oh no, sorry. I thought you were talking about the 2-drop.
No. I mean the big one. She got significantly better now with all these weapons, like especially
Definitely.
the ones that give flying and overwhelm, that make it really push to the double damage over the kind of over the hump.
They did also add the 2-drop where like you play weapons on it, and then when it dies, you get them back.
The axe sharpener.
The sharpener.
2/3 axe sharpener. Yep,
I love that card.
Yep, that's a solid one for sure. Silverwing Familiar. We already talked about the shadow cards. Obviously, the Ranger, the for the Lurker, the Lighthoof. That's solid.
I mean, there's some rares that have Nightfall that are worth playing, like the 3/4 for 3 blue guy, the Yeti. Can't remember his name.
Oh yeah, the Flurflinger or something.
Oh
like
yeah,
make that turns a unit into a 2/2 flying squirrel or whatever.
Sick. Yep.
Yeah. But there's also some rares that are like straight up unplayable that I keep seeing. Like, what's that, like Shadow, like 7 cost or something? It's like steal a unit as long as it's Nightfall. Like, oh my god, if I get past one more of those, I'm gonna
the
lose
worst
my
card
mind.
ever printed, John said. What do you guys think about? I mean, this maybe could be for a discussion, because I see it a lot and people play it against me, but I pass it as the moon glow stone or whatever the
card draw relic.
Yeah, the card draw relic. So that one.
But isn't it like pay 4 to draw a card or something like that?
Pay 5.
Oh geez, man. Like, sure, take your whole turn off to draw a card.
No, that's a very powerful effect.
like late
Moondial.
game, right? If you're not
Yeah,
doing
so
anything.
if you're like a control deck, I would play it. If you're not like strictly a control deck, like
Yeah.
don't play it because it's just
'Cause-
like such a huge tempo loss.
Yeah, because I mean, I say that from my experience. Granted, it could be a new format, but because I tried it because I was like, oh man, draw a card, sweet. Anytime you don't have anything to do with your power, draw a card. But man, 5 just,
Yeah, it's a
ugh.
lot. Like, I mean, I love another card that's very similar in the format, Highwing Glider, except that's like it's like a flying wall too. So like it's
Mm.
actually defending you while you like dirtle and draw cards. But like that's like pay 5 to draw as well. And man, that card has been so good for me.
Because yeah,
Um,
that relic is straight up like you seriously do nothing and give your opponents like 2 cards, you know. So for that
no,
first turn,
no.
it's just so slow, you know.
Let's see. For those of you that haven't played with this card yet, they're new to the format. Orin Jailer is times 12. That's the 3/3 Minotaur Soldier for 3 green. When you attack with exactly 2 units, Orin Jailer gets +1/+1, and then amplify 1. Play a detain. That card is busted. You
Yeah, it's
can
an
get it,
amazing free
get it.
drop.
Yeah,
If you're getting
it's
past those, you're probably playing green.
it's like anytime you feel like you stabilize, your opponent just does that. You're like, oh my god, you just get wrecked so bad. Jotun Hurler, yeah, I think that card is phenomenal now with the buff to it.
Especially with the spells matter, like damage matters
Yeah,
cards.
Yeah,
There's a lot.
it's never been as good as it is now in draft. Like it's a really solid 5 drop.
yep. Pitfall Trap, that's a great card. It kills something either pre-combat, you kill an X1, or post-combat after damage is dealt, and then just the fact that it lets you turn through your deck that much quicker is a phenomenal card as well. I'm trying to see, just going through it to see if there's any other ones that kind of stand out to me, much like what John was saying. All right. So you guys, all right. I'm already positive I'm wrong with this, but Plague, like everyone likes Plague, and it's just been medium to meh for me every single time I've played it. Plague is the 3 shadow spell. Enemy units get -1/-1 permanently. I don't know if it's because it's slow. I don't know if I don't know how to play it. I don't know what it is, but it, it reads good, right? It should do a lot of work, but it just is at best it's been medium for me at best.
Maybe you're playing
Um,
it in the wrong kind of deck. Like if you're playing, for example, like Stone Scar, you're probably playing a lot of like 2/1s and 3/1s and stuff. It's in that case, it's only going to be good in the mirror, right? Because like if your opponent's playing, 2/2s and 3/3s, Plague does nothing. All your units still just trade, right?
mhm.
If you're playing your own 2/2s, 3/3s, etc., maybe Xenon or something, I think Plague does some work. It's like they have if it's like a board stall, it's like playing Horn of Plenty in reverse, right? It's like, but it's a little cheaper. Maybe you can hold up like a trick as well.
Yeah, but
Um,
Horn of Plenty stays around
yeah,
versus this is a
no,
one-time shot. So anything they play after you pull the trigger is
it's
null and void.
I like it. I like it's not a card like I'm super excited about, but like yeah, like in the right deck, it'll be good. I think there's when you play it, it'll typically kill a thing, shrink a thing that matters, and maybe pop an Aegis or whatever. Like I think that's more than good enough for a single card effect.
Fair enough, Alex.
I like Plague. I think it is a very good card.
And that's why you guys are both top 30, and I am sitting in gold. Maybe diamond. I don't remember wherever I finished the stream at. Sweet. Are there any other cards you want to highlight? I think that's all the ones for me looking at the list.
I keep seeing players playing like unplayable Nightfall cards. I know we kind of memed on this earlier, but like Winter's Grasp, Harbinger's Bite, like stop. Just stop.
Where are you at on the 0-4 that's a 4/4 watts night?
Eh. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't
Like
like it either.
if it cost 1 less, like no, I don't like it. It's like there's better walls in the format, and then like like no, I don't think I think it's just not a great strategy to like actually try to play like Fell Nightfall or something and like play like a Nightfall card every turn, because yeah, everything about it I don't like. I don't like it. Like
Oh,
you're just letting your opponent draw into whatever answer they need for your thing, or there's going to be a couple turns that go by where you don't have Nightfall and this thing is just sitting there and you're like getting run over by like a 3/3 Valor or whatever that you can't block.
mm-hmm. I was gonna ask you how you felt about First Frost Shaman, but it's ×1, so you'll never see it. So it's kind of pointless to talk about it.
That's the 2/5.
Yeah, the 2/5 that buffs
Yeah,
another
I
unit.
was playing that relatively
haven't,
often, and I
haven't
haven't
seen
seen
one.
one since.
Me
Yeah,
neither.
that's why I was gonna bring it up, because that's one of the cards that is kind of filler, but actually you found to be pretty good, and I was pretty impressed with it as well. But
Yeah,
I
it's
just
never
saw that
been
it's
as good.
×1, so you're never gonna see it. Like,
No longer
whatever.
exists. One card I like don't miss that's like 0 boosted now, like, or 1x, is Stormcaller. Like there was so many times when my opponent played one of those and like I just had like all these X1s or whatever, and it was just like decimating my board, and it was so annoying because it's just a Stormcaller. And so like I'm glad that that's not happening very often
Or
anymore.
they give it death touch or whatever.
Man,
Oh
I
my
don't know how,
god,
but I
that
only ran into that like once.
that is definitely one of those cards that are up there for me. Every time I've tried to play it, it just dies or does nothing. And then
Yeah.
whenever my opponents play it, it just wrecks my entire deck. I'm just like, I'll never understand that card ever.
Yeah, I
Like,
finally had it in a deck where it like did the thing for me and it was just good.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I don't miss being on the receiving end of that at all. Not seeing that all the time. Like a card I keep seeing people pick up, like this is like medium boosted, and I'm just kind of seeing it, is Thunderbird, and like I just don't really see the appeal there. Right, I know it's like an Aegis unit, but like man, like I'd have to be running, so many weapons to want to play Thunderbird, because you just get like the common that has inscribe. It's a 2/3, like in packs 2 and 3s. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't agree with prioritizing that normally. Like I guess if you're already you know a couple picks in on pack 1 and you have 2 Morning Stars already or something, sure. Like that's probably worth it. That's a way to kill someone real quick.
Rebel Illuminator is the 3/1 Rebel Mage for 4 fire. Entomb, create, and draw a torch. It's ×6. That card is good. Play it.
Yeah.
And I just realized that Shingane Forge is ×12 boosted. So, oh yeah. There's one of my pet cards. I'm definitely going to try to do that bad boy.
I like Forge too.
Yeah, it's definitely a 5 cost do nothing, but man, if it sticks around at all, you could just go ham with that thing.
You really can. And there's some like there's some synergy cards for it too. Like they added Humbug Nest, and
Yeah,
anything that
exactly.
makes multiple dudes is like insane with that card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that in Praxis or Skycrag where you have a bunch of cheap flyers. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I mean the 3/3s, right? The sharpshooter and the paladin that get lifesteal on first strike when they get buffed. That combos very well with them as well. So there's still some Valor units in the format. So yeah, excited.
Is sharpshooter, how is that? Because I feel like I'm seeing even more sharpshooters than I was before.
Let me double check. I'm on the fire part real quick.
And another one I'm seeing more of, and I love playing decks with this card, is Mercenary Vanguard. That's like max boosted as well.
Yeah, the 2/3 that tandem attack.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of like random little synergies with that card that are, it's just like really fun when you're popping off of that. Yeah, sharpshooter is max boosted as well.
Yeah. Upgraders back in the format, so yeah, that gives you the boost from the sharpshooter, or the guy you just talked about. Gosh darn it, the 2/3.
The Mercenary Vanguard.
There you go, Vanguard.
Yeah,
There
it's
you
like
go.
when you attack with 2, you get the ping.
Yep. So that'll trigger upgrader.
Like
There's something
that with
else that triggers.
Warhorn is insane.
Oh yeah, there
So
you go.
good.
That's the other one. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, there's like just so much little synergy. You could play like Warhorn, that guy. You could play whatever the shadow one is, that Aromon, I think.
Mhm. Yep.
I mean, you can just like make so many stupid little Onis, and then if you're playing like Forge too, Like, it's just like so
Oh!
much synergy. I love decks like that.
If you guys live the dream, screenshot it, post it in our Discord so we could
It's good with
congratulate you.
the harpoon too. If you're in
Hmm.
Skycrag,
Flash Boon,
yeah, Splash Poon.
love that card.
Sweet guys. Well, I think that's good enough to call it a show here. You guys got any final words about the format before we wrap it up?
No, I think I got to everything I had in mind. Um, like overall, I've been enjoying it about as much. Like I did feel like I had that last kind of format, solved or whatever, and I was like, just by the last few weeks there, I feel like I was just always playing some four faction nonsense. Um, I like, and I don't know, does it feel like this to you guys? Like, it feels like it's a little harder to get win vote cards right now. Have you guys been noticing that, or is that just
Like-
Yes.
Yeah, because
I think
you just could force it in the first pack, right? And then in the second pack, you're already in colors. So
yeah, I
I
would
think a
think
lot of
that
them go
means you might get,
unpicked.
if your lane is open, then they might still be I don't know, like I just feel like they're like harder to come by. And like, man, when my opponents are playing them in my games and I don't have one, it's like I feel like I'm getting extra wrecked.
It's
Ugh.
so sad. Yeah,
That's
I
probably
still
just
like
a
I like
feeling.
counter spells a lot still for that reason.
Yeah, I could get behind that. I think that's what it is. I think the lack of fixing makes it to where they're like they don't feel. Well, yeah, I can play that. Now it's like, that's
You
kind of
guys,
pushing it.
do you guys think there was any big winner color or color pairwise that's like suddenly just the best, or do you think it's still pretty balanced, or how do you guys feel?
I don't think I've played enough to really either that or I just haven't. I don't personally feel like there's a color that's kind of gone off the rails for me. I think Stone Scar definitely wants to be aggressive, so sometimes it can feel like the deck's kind of busted. But if you have any kind of, I think it's just how it curves out, right? Sometimes things just work out where they have all the answers, and sometimes you play a 3-drop and they can't get through it. So,
Mhm. What do you think, Alex?
About the what was it that you had asked? I like how to
standout archetype.
I think like time became, like John said, one of the colors that's seen a lot more because it helps you fix for whatever other color. So I think other than that, though, it's pretty balanced. I think I'm just kind of playing whatever, but I do still kind of lean towards justice because it's the best.
Fair enough. But all right, guys, I think that's going to call it a show. Before we say goodbye, though, I want to take a moment to give a proper send off to our competitors and rivals. Not just kidding, good friends of ours. Padomaro, or not Padomaro, gosh darn it, my bad. Gato Sujo and Parmalee at the Misplay. They had their last show this week, and I just want to give a shout out to them. Pour one out for my homies. They did an absolute phenomenal job building a community, improving as players on their own, improving the Eternal community as a whole from their podcast. So thanks for everything that they've done. If you guys haven't checked them out, definitely go give them a listen. But yeah, I just wanted to give them their due respects because they did a great job, and they're good people. We've hung out with them several times and whatnot on Discord, and they're pretty great guys. Had them on the show as well. So thank you guys for everything, and Godspeed on your next adventures, whatever that may be, and hopefully we'll see you guys in day 2.
Yeah, good luck, fellas.
Yeah, I'll miss their show, and I think those guys will still be playing Eternal. I hope, but
Yeah, they are. I think they had mentioned they're playing other games. I know Parmalee is playing a lot of Lost Ark. I don't know if Gato Sujo is or not, but well, they did say that if Direwolf did make some quality of life changes that they were hoping for, that they'd at least continue streaming. So maybe that happens.
cool.
Though, I mean, they did feel like they should be the first podcast cast to be entered into the Eternal Hall of Fame. I don't believe that's true, but to each their own. I know she thought about giving them an honorary misplays, right? to show him some respect, but I'll be honest with you, I misplay so much I can't remember one for the show. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah,
All right, guys.
I always tune into your stream pretty early, I feel like, and there's always at least one Puntawan up there already.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. Sometimes I even punt before the draft starts. So
I
right.
kicked off the stream. I might as well put a Puntawan up.
Yeah, preemptively, we know it's going to happen. It's precogging it. That's all. But all right, friends, that is going to do it. John, Alex, thank you guys so much for joining me on the show every single time. I don't know how you guys put up with me, but I appreciate you. Guys out there in podcast land, thank you so much for listening. If we don't put up a show before I'm going to try to put up a show before the expedition. Maybe John and I can do a little constructed primer for it, for the Expedition Open. But if not, Godspeed, my friends. Wish you the best of luck. Everyone have a great time. And yeah, until next time, as always, happy gaming.
Watch out for bottoms up lethal.
Good luck in your draft queues, everyone.